Since I'm shifting house again, I've been thinking all day about the various houses I've lived in over the course of my life. And the very important role that domestic space repeatedly plays in my poems. This one's about my ancestral house, which was sold to a builder for demolition some years ago, though it still stands proudly for some legal reason that I don't understand. It's called Chandri Villa. Chandri Villa. His name was Chandri, my grandfather once said, who was to live here but died of plague. Each of us fails in the end, but I was born in a house built for the dead. On the red gate they hammered his name with nails. 1919. These bougainvilleas have grown since then. The dead leave us, leaving no trails. Deep in the banyan grove at Chandri Villa, a secret sense of loss prevails. And the very stillness of these trees carries me past an April long dead, newly strewn with banyan leaves. Thick roots dangle above my head, ancient knotted roots I cannot untangle, till I am a child once again, though against my will, the wide grove closing its arms as if to kill. My veins, so many banyan roots, twisted into one, and all their tangled knots come undone, till almost I see him, the plagued man I never will. I'm going to move on to a poem that is about moving on, and moving from one place to another, moving into this house actually. And the title refers to an object that I'm gladly still in possession of. Ostrich egg. A fortnight after the papers had been signed, and the old villa stripped of its carpets and furnishings, its Mughal miniatures and stone antiques, brass plates, photographs and leopard skins, and all its stacks of files and letters, he went back there to make sure nothing worth keeping had been left behind. Cacti by the doorstep, the musunda in full bloom, a flight of stairs whose banisters he slid down as a child, and a bridge table with a set of cold maternal spoons, briefly touched and put down in a breeze warm with the scent of unpicked mangoes, ripe before rain to the point of rotting. That old crooked ladle, the beef platter, his grandmother's tattered Venetian tablecloth, perhaps, but enough had already been taken and kept, that kept roots frozen in the permafrost of his past. What had been lived here, in any case, was barely life, and the man he was moving on to meet would have no need for these. Where I go now, he mused, joy will be real. Though the beetle trees shook their heads in disapproval, mocking his customary dreams of emergence, as he turned his back with rehearsed aplomb on an overused kettle and an unopened set of rusty golf clubs, and the bougainvilleas caught in the Victorian turnpikes brandished their thorny inflorescences like platitudes, forewarning him against all forcing of the will, when at last he heard the red gates clank shut behind him, with nothing in his hands but a large white egg in a black stone bowl, that had sat for 5 decades on his grandfather's desk, and now finds itself at home sooner than he does, in a plush new apartment on the 21st floor, niched below the Shakespeares on the library shelf, and between the brass figurines and a salvaged demijohn, speckled, light-reflecting oracle, dome-shaped demigod, sporting its curious message of continuance and hope, of hope in change and the continuance of hope for a life of taciturn sunsets and talkative nights, visionary noons and companionable dawns, all doomed to remain no more real than the long curved neck and scrawny legs, the beak and claws, the stride, squawk, charge and leap, and the ineffable flightless plumage of an ostrich that must stay unalterably unborn. The next one is about the brief joy of feeling finally settled in. Housewarming. I was conceived in a tent, the savannas talkative, brief rain after dusk, the risen moon a slim crescent above cratered Kilimanjaro, and amongst those humming tides of grass, vibrant with the memory of wildebeest hooves, those campfires, mud paths, jeep tracks, ropes, and cloudless shards of black, firelit sky, rent by eagle cries and antelope hoots. There was joy, surely, as there is here, looking up from an armchair, approaching 40, at this pair of newly polished wooden heads, brought home from East Africa, with a roll of Super 8 and bagfuls of negatives. One of them developed, enlarged, mounted, nailed, and hung up to reveal this creased, sleeping lion, reported to have been heard at dawn, snoring outside the tent I was conceived in.